Chapter 6. On the Road. The fire burned in the middle of the small camp, throwing shadows all around the boulder, tree, and the sleeping elf who had lain next to it. Sager kept watch on the forest around them, as well as the shore between them and the river. All sorts of creatures traveled and hunted by night, and he must stay awake and vigilant. He let his focus shift to Valera, who lay on her side asleep. He let a faint smile cross his face as he watched her side rise and fall with her breathing. The only one to ever defeat him in a battle since he had finished training as a child. And she was a woman. But there was something else about her. He didn't know if it was the way she took nonsense from no one, or was it that she actually had the spine and nerve to compete in the arena, and the skills to actually win? He had to admit that to say it surprised him to be taken down was an understatement. But he couldn't dwell on that forever. He shook his head, trying to dismiss the thought. There was something else about her that he noticed. Even wearing her armor, which made her look like a man, a scrawny man, but a man. She was still beautiful and graceful, and despite the heavy steel plate. He realized that he admired her. He admired that in her, among other things like her speed and wit. He caught himself in the midst of those thoughts and shook his head harder than before. Get over it, man. She's just lucky as all. If we were to fight again, I'm sure I'd win. Yesterday was just a fluke. A rustling from the trees immediately had his attention. He reached for a sword rising from his place by the boulder. Quicksilver snorted and whinnied, sensing the presence of something not quite human. "At ease, beast," he said lowly, taking a step toward the horse, but keeping watch on the tree line. A creature about twice Sager's size lumbered out of the shadows with a bag slung over her shoulder. It wore nothing but a loincloth over its gray skinned body, its gut hanging over it. When the creature, a troll, Sager thought, saw the giant, he gave what looked like might be a smile and came closer to him, stopping a few feet in front of him. He put the bag on the ground and dug through it, taking out a very large handful of gold pieces. The creature didn't speak the common language, but grunted, offering him the gold. Sager's eyes narrowed. Gold? For what? He looked at the thing's face, lowering his sword. Food? Ood? He stuttered out after a moment, still holding the gold. Gold? Food? Oh, okay. Sager didn't turn his back on the creature, but went to his own bag and got out several strips of dry beef. It isn't much, friend, but here. He gave the rations to the troll, who dropped the gold to the ground, snatching the food from Sager. Thanking you. He took this bag and disappeared back in the trees. Well, that was strange. He went back to his place, leaning to the rock. He looked back to Valera. "You're missing the show, beautiful." He smirked before turning his attention back to the trees. Another few hours passed, and it was about time to wake her up. He stood up with a yawn and walked over to her still sleeping form. "Hey, your turn to keep watch." He nudged her with his foot. "Wake up." She groaned, still asleep. Why? Because you said you would. Now get up, he growled. Not my commander, but I did say I would. She sat up, rubbing her face. I'll go lay down somewhere. I'll keep watch. She sighed, stretching out her arms. He gave a quick nod, tossing his sword toward the boulder to land next to his shield. Night. He flopped on the ground on the opposite side of the fire. Actually, morning, she corrected as she stood up to where he had been sitting. She held her sword sheathed in her lap as she focused on the forest. Anything interesting happened while I was asleep? Huh? Some troll gave me some gold for a little food. I thought that was a little weird, but that's about it. That is strange. Maybe they're getting low on resources if they're willing to make deals with other species. Could be. Who knows, really? He yawned, this time wider. I'm going to try to get some sleep. Good night. He lay his head on his arm and was soon snoring. Good night. She closed her eyes, concentrating on the sounds of the forest and the river. The crickets were chirping around her, so there was no immediate threat. They tended to hide when there was one. She smiled, feeling a bit safer. But moments after this feeling of semi-safety, the crickets fell silent, making Valor a bit uneasy. Could a wolf or some other hungry animal be nearby? Maybe another troll looking to buy food? She lay her hand on the hilt of her blade, ready for either circumstance. She watched the trees, looking for any sign of movement. Then she spotted them. A small band of goblins come from the bushes. They wore hides over their bodies, with only their potbellies protruding past that and their loincloths. One who was slightly bigger than the rest forced his way in front of the others and approached Valora, who stood, drawing her sword when she saw them approach. We want food. You have food. Troll gave you gold too. Give us that too. And if I don't, little imp? She held the sword to his throat and was quickly batted away with a snarl. Then we kill you, horse, and sleepy giant. This was followed by the howling laughter of the rest of what seemed like a scout party. They talk for someone so short. She kept her blade at his throat until it backed away, turning the others in a group. He shouted in short grunts and howls. Valor thought it might be the goblin language, and it was proven right as they all drew with their blades and charged toward her. Sager, we got a problem, she yelled, blocking the blow off the first goblin's short sword with her own, sending the creature backward. Alrighty. He rose up and ran for his sword and his shield, ready for a fight. Another screeching order from the goblin leader, and the two others more attacked Sager, but were cut down by his blade before they could attack. Goblin commander and his troops, but there's not enough for a good group. Must have lost a few battles. She slashed at another that was trying to knock her off her feet by swinging his blade at her knees. She kicked him in the face, causing him to sprawl out on the ground. He was soon replaced by another who swung her at her stomach with a club. She caught the blunt weapon, dragging the creature toward her and sinking her sword into its gut. The goblin writhed and coughed up his own blood before dying. As the commander saw they were being defeated once more, he called out one final order, and remaining scouts retreated back into the trees. Cowards! Valor shouted into the shadows. This night is getting weirder and weirder. First that troll who only wanted food, and now goblin scouts who are too small of a group to really do anything. Something's going on here with the local beastmen. It's called human eradication. She sat next to the fire, watching the now dying flames. Humans don't understand now. Not all of the humanoid creatures are evil. Some are, but others aren't. Now I guess they're getting desperate for supplies as their homes are taken by humans. And humans, as well as elves and dwarves, either kill or banish them. She groaned. It's going to lead to another war of the races. I really hope not. He plopped down beside her. My people almost didn't survive the last one. And my village was almost burned to the ground. She frowned at the memory of when she was only a child. I'm sorry to hear that. As a nomad, I have no real home, but someone who doesn't. Someone who doesn't deserve to lose it. She nodded, still looking at the fire. So we have two options. We can put the fire out and leave now, or we can wait until sunrise, which will be here soon anyway. Might as well get a move on. Not like either of us is going to sleep anytime soon. Alright, let's go then. She grabbed her canteen from her side, opening it. Wait, I got a better idea, but you might want to turn your head, Princess. He stood next to the fire, undoing his pants. She turned away as instructed, corking her canteen and leaving her place to gather her things, grimacing at the idea of what he was about to do. As she did so, he exposed himself just enough to aim for the fire, allowing his urine to douse out the flames. Saves water that way. He shook the last drops from himself before tucking himself back into his pants. He faced the now brightly blushing elven woman. Ready when you are. I'm as ready as I'll ever be. She slung her bag over her shoulder. Let's get out of here. She walked to Quicksilver and untied him. Let's go, baby. We're leaving. The horse whinnied but didn't fight her grip, only giving a slight nod as if half asleep. She mounted him and led him towards Sager. Ready? Ready. They left the camp just before sunrise, leaving only the burnt out and wet remains of a campfire. Hadenshire is not far from here. We should be there in a few hours. Can't wait to meet your mother and sister. If they trained you to fight like that, I want to see how they fight. Wonder if they spar with me. They're always up for a challenge, she smiled. That's where I get it from. So that fiery Hellcat on the field comes from them. Now I have to meet them, he chuckled. You'll get your chance soon. Patience, my friend. Patience.